My name is Natalie Priester, and I'm creating this blog just to document something cool that happened in my class yesterday. I'm reading a book right now called The Inventors, and it talks about all these people who started computers and the internet and how they had logs and journals to write down all the cool stuff. So I don't have time to write a log or a journal, but I do have time to record a quick vlog. So here's what happened. First I need to tell you that I have attended the IIRP International Institute of Restorative Practices training, and I really enjoy working with restorative practices with my students. And I also work at a residential for high school for foster youth. So my class begins in a circle. If you look behind me, see those chairs? We start in a circle and we have our lounge meeting, and my kids all check in every single class period. They say how they're feeling and why. Well, this Monday, one of my freshman boys shared that he was feeling, I think he said worried or confused, because on Friday he has to make a decision about his placement, and he might get to make the decision about whether or not to go back with his biological parents. Again, on Tuesday, which was yesterday, he said that he was confused and that he didn't know what to do. So we finished our check-in circle, and then I said, Curtis, would you like to do a beta fishbowl to talk about it and get maybe some advice from your friends? And he said yes. My students have practiced beta fishbowl with we've done it as a class game activity, which we do a lot, and we did it with some really superficial topics, like what do you do if you're not getting along with your roommate? And so my kids already knew the procedure of running a beta fishbowl. I call it beta fishbowl. IRP calls it fishbowl. I don't call it plain fishbowl because I'm an ELA teacher, and I know that a fishbowl discussion is where you have a small group having a discussion while the kids on the outside sit in a circle and observe. But for this type of fishbowl, it's a little bit different. Um, I'm going to tell you the process of it, and I'm not going to tell you all of the details because that would be kind of violating my kids' trust to tell you about what was actually said. So what happens is my kids are already sitting in a circle. We put the beta fish seat in the middle, so it's a little stool. And then the student went and sat in the circle and had about a minute or two to to share his problem. And then the kids asked questions to find out just more clarifying things, not advice questions, just do you have a sibling? So super topic questions to inform them to give better advice. And then the beta fish jumps out of the circle. So he goes and sits, or out of the middle of the circle, sits on the edge. One student becomes my recorder, and the kids take turns sitting in the circle to give advice to the beta fish who needed some help. And so they sit in the stool, look at him, and spoke to him. He's not allowed to speak back, nod his head, or give any sort of feedback. I've told the kids that prevents them the feedback from being heard. If you give any response, people might hold off on their ideas. So that goes around for a few minutes, and then my beta fish went and sat back in the circle, and he read off the list of advice that the students had generated, and then didn't give any other answers besides that. That was the end, and he just thanked the kids. So I was really impressed with this activity. I know that having proactive circles and having my students check in and help each other can help them to build relationships and to foster empathy, and it just creates a positive classroom culture. But I had a realization as I was sitting there yesterday. I am learning that this face-to-face communication that I'm pushing in my super tech-rich classroom is actually doing a ton of meeting a lot of the goals and building the skills that all of our super technology 21st century skills goals are pushing on kids. I don't need a computer to sit and have the lesson that happened yesterday. Just within that little 10-minute session, my students practiced all four of the C's of 21st century skills. They were communicating, they were speaking and listening face to face, 100% engaged. They were collaborating, so they were giving ideas together to solve a problem, and they were adding on to what the previous people had said. They were being creative by generating novel solutions, especially for kids who hadn't been in that situation. And then the critical thinking one stood out to me the most. My students were definitely using tenets of critical thinking to guide their decision making. They were open-minded, they were deferring judgment, they practiced humility, they were questioning, and definitely they were showing a strong amount of empathy. I know that these skills will help my students in academics and just socially and in so many other areas of their life. So that was my awesome day today, and I am giving a huge thumbs up for this beta fishbowl activity to do it at the right time with your kids, and my brain is really starting to think more and more about how we need to use technology and face-to-face communication appropriately, and that sometimes we don't need to go find a tool to teach 21st century skills. Sometimes we just need to sit and hang out with our